What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the A Sports Podcast. We are currently down a man, but it's all right. We have the two best remaining. I'm here with Morrow. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a big penalty kill shift this time around.
Yeah, we number one penalty kill in the league, though. We're gonna take over. We're gonna run through a whole bunch of stuff today. There's not many things that can top the Super Bowl in terms of news, but the Leafs certainly tried their best with the Matthews extension.
Pause time.
Huge news. We'll get that a little later in the show. But let's start with that boring-ass Super Bowl.
Well, let's just put it this way. Had a bunch of people over, and we all thought that this was going to be a barn burner and one hell of a shootout, and let's just say it fell short of the expectations.
Yeah, so if you didn't see it, the Patriots won their sixth Super Bowl under the Tom Brady era, 13-3 over the Los Angeles Rams. It was just
Really?
it was 6-6 or no 3-3. Sorry, with it was 3-3 with 7 minutes left.
3-0 going into halftime. 3-3 out of the third, and then
I was 7 minutes away from winning $100 on a dollar bet because I bet on neither team making 10. And there was 7 minutes left, and they scored a touchdown to make it 10-3. I'm like, fuck. But that was kind of the story of the game, right? Like, nothing happened until the fourth. Yeah, it was the Rams set a record. It was their first 8 possessions, I think it was, that they had to punt the ball.
Yeah, in the first eight were all punts.
The biggest story of the first 3 quarters was your boy Johnny Hecker's.
And I couldn't believe it that not even 65. On one of those 8 possessions, they didn't even try a fake punt and let him throw.
No,
I was pretty pissed.
Yeah, it was a prop bet too. I looked it up. It was the thing that they were expecting him to pass. 65-yard punt is the story of the first half. It's like, well, what a bad Super Bowl. There's honestly nothing to talk about here. Like, Brady didn't really look that great. Edelman looked great, but
Edelman was the one highlight, I guess, because there wasn't much offense, but whenever there was a play, it was probably being made by him.
Yeah, he made a whole lot happen in that, and it's just it made sense that he was the MVP, but it was just boring. If Edelman's your MVP, hands down, like nobody in the Rams showed up. The defense did, I guess. Like, they stopped Brady all night, which is huge.
Defense held them to what, 3 points with 7 minutes left, like you said. There's nothing more you can ask of them.
No, if you can hold a team to 10 points or 13 points in the Super Bowl, you should probably win. Like,
this was the highest scoring offense during the regular season,
if not top 5 for sure. But
and then they had at least like 25 plus points per game in the playoffs over the 2 games they played. This should have been a lot closer.
They should have won.
It should have been a lot more high scoring.
If you told me before the game that they were going to hold the Patriots to 13 points, I would have told you they were the Super Bowl 53 champions.
100%.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
And they couldn't put it together on offense. Goff looked bad until the last drive. McVay made some questionable play calls.
I didn't like it was ill-advised, the throw at the end there for the interception. What was it, Gilmore that picked it off?
I think so, yeah.
It was ill-advised.
It's second down. It was like 2nd and 9 too. It wasn't even and you throw off your back foot. Mm-hmm. It's like, throw it away. Just throw it away, get the third. Try. He was driving downfield like it was nothing. That was the first time Goff looked good all game, and then
stagnant all game long. And then the one time you finally get into New England territory and you're just outside the red zone, you're there.
Yeah.
Like, points should be
guaranteed. With that offense, guaranteed.
Like, at least a field goal at that position in the field. And you throw a pick like that, you deserve what you get at that point.
You earned it. I mean, for all McVay did, I think his inexperience showed huge. Like, all he did all year, like, he was so good, and then even in the last few drives, it was like he didn't run the ball once in the.
Gurley got 10 touches the whole game for 35 yards.
I don't think Gurley was healthy. He looked horrible.
He keeps saying, I'm healthy, I'm fine. I don't know what you guys are talking about. But 10 carries
there's
in
no
the
way.
Super Bowl, you were the league MVP last year.
Yeah, and like, he's your best player. And you're going to hold him to 10 carries and have him do absolutely nothing? There's something wrong.
They haven't said anything yet, but I'm convinced as well, probably just like everybody else, that something's going to surface, whether it's
if he's not hurt,
something, ruptured something. It was his knee that was bothering him. I think it was his right knee. And
that's
you could tell, though, he was absolutely, like, bottled up in the first half.
Yeah.
you see him in the first couple plays right out of the second half or into the third, and he's actually making really nice plays. He had a couple of runs, and everybody that I'm with is saying, "Oh, look at that! The cortisone shots, they're working." And then he takes a couple stumbles and he hits the ground a couple times, and yeah, I'm sure he felt something in that knee because he didn't look healthy.
No, he was bad. It's frightening if he's not healthy, because that's your cornerstone going forward.
Yeah,
and if that's just how he is now,
offense is run through him, whether it's a screen pass, whether it's a run, and him having such a big presence in that offense open things up and allows Goff to do so much more. Yeah. And it was just non-existent, and they got exactly what they deserved.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty for them. Back to Edelman. So Amir sent me this tweet. Let's see if I can find it here. It's from Adam Schefter. It said, as MVP of this year's Super Bowl, Patriots wide receiver Julian Edelman is playing himself into a spot in the Canton Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't know how much I agree with that. Like,
was he ever the top receiver in the league for a year? I don't think so.
No.
I could be wrong.
He was good. He's been great his whole career, but
How many is this for him? Is this his third?
3 or 4, isn't it?
Would have been 2019, 2017, 2015, and I don't think he was around for the one that came back in 2005.
So, yeah, it's great. You're also playing with Tom Brady. Does that not kind of affect a little bit?
In a sense, yeah, but, I mean, a lot of players, when they're around greatness, end up having careers that are good enough or at least close enough to being considered Hall of Fame worthy.
Yeah.
Is he a beneficiary of playing with the greatest coach and quarterback tandem that we've ever seen? Yes. But that being said, he's now got 3 Super Bowls, a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, the numbers are there, but, like, he's had some huge games in the playoffs, but, like, he's never really put up fantastic numbers.
Mm-hmm.
He's put up good numbers.
Yeah.
But he's also on steroids.
Fair.
I don't know. Like, Amir was trying to argue this with me, and it's like, I get it, but he got suspended. His numbers have to be tainted a little bit.
I guess.
And if his numbers aren't fantastic and mind-blowing, then I don't see why you should let him in.
That was last year, right? That he had to
I think it was this season, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it might have been this season.
I can pull it up, but, like...
No, it was this season, because I remember taking Chris Hogan for the exact reason that Edelman wasn't playing.
Yeah, that's so right. if you're not blowing me out of the water with your career numbers and you were on steroids, do you really think you deserve a spot in the NFL Hall of Fame?
He hit 1,000 yards receiving twice in his career, 2013 and 2016.
There's guys that aren't in the Hall of Fame that have better numbers than that.
Yeah.
Like, he's good, and he helps Brady out a whole lot, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
When it's all said and done, you're gonna look at the dynasty that is the New England Patriots, and you're gonna look at Gronk, Brady, Belichick, and then who's the fourth guy? I think it's Edelman, and that would be the only reason I think he'd get in.
Yeah, offensively, yeah.
You had guys like Will Fork come through,
exactly.
Dante Hightower. Yeah. Those were staples in your defense that helped and contributed a lot when it came to the defensive play. And I think this is really a game that was won by the defense, because you only allowed the Rams to put up a 3 spot against you in a Super Bowl, which is unheard of. So, in a sense, if you're going to name names from this team and this dynasty, I think he's got to get some sort of consideration.
He's in there as far as, like, Patriots greats in their playoff runs. I just think of all-time NFL greats. Yeah. Is he up there? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So I don't know how you can give him, especially with the PED suspension. I don't understand. I don't know how you can give it to him.
I think there's something there. Yeah, I think you're onto something. I mean, do they cater to the Patriots? I know that they love catering to teams like the Cowboys, the Giants, the Steelers, and stuff. It's just, is it a matter of, is he on a good enough team and organization in terms of a marketing standpoint?
Did you know, my coworker was telling me this, do you know how many points the Patriots have scored in all of their Super Bowls in the first quarter combined?
Oh, this has got to be something absurdly low. I'm going to go with 9.
3. They've got 3 points in the first quarter in all of their Super Bowls. Total.
Wow.
That's nuts. Like, an offense that prolific can't score in the first quarter. It's just like consistent slow starts, and they still find a way to. They have 6 now.
There must be some sort of strategy they use. I don't know. Like that is absurdly.
It's
That's
the Leaf
six Super
strategy.
Bowl. That's 6 Super Bowls, and you're telling me that in the first quarter,
Yeah. So that's 6
in
quarters.
18 in
6 quarters they have.
In 6 quarters they have.
Actually, no, because the 2 losses too.
In 8 Super Bowls.
In 8 Super Bowls.
You have 9.
8. So
9 Super Bowls. Brady's
oh yeah, 9
in 9 Super Bowls they have 3 total points.
So 9 quarters, and they have 3 points. That's nuts.
And you're telling me that they won 6.
They have 6 of the 9.
Games.
It's stupid. Like, I don't understand this team. They're consistently like they shouldn't be winning, but they're winning, and it's.
Brady himself is the underdog story, just because drafted in the 7th round and everything. But
yeah.
like, I don't know.
Not anymore.
I can't stand this team. Like, I'll bet for them because I know that it's stupid to not.
Yeah, you bet on them every time because they're gonna win, and it's just the NFL's way.
I can't stand it. Like,
no.
You look at some of these stats. You look at Brady. You look at everything, and it's just like, how?
It's just painful to watch, man. Like, I'm so tired of seeing the Patriots there every year. Like, they're getting cockier about it too, and it's just like now they're trying to play like they were the underdogs. It's like, no, you weren't, man.
I actually saw a tweet, and it said it was a Twitter poll, and it's like, what would you rather? Like, if you have to keep one of them, what would it be? Seeing the Patriots win, seeing the Golden State Warriors reach another NBA championship final, or seeing a Bama versus Clemson national title game?
You had to keep one of them?
You have to keep one. Because if you're an average sports fan, you hate seeing all 3.
Yeah. Fuck. I think the Bama one, just because I don't watch college football enough, but like
I think
all 3 of them suck. Like, it's just
it's the same.
Sports are boring, man. At this point,
I'm with you.
Like, it's not good for the sport to see the same team win over and over and over. It's just like you get tired of it.
I think that too, but in a sense, seeing Brady do it at 40 years old, it's a little bit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For me.
He's defying all the laws of physics, but like
he's what now? 40.
41?
42. He's 41 years old. Yeah, I've heard that before. So at 40 plus years old, you're telling me making it to 3 straight Super Bowls and then winning 3 out of the last 5.
Did they not come in as the 4 seed in the playoffs?
They would have been second in the AFC.
I think they were behind
they might have been.
They were behind the Rams because the Rams were the 1 seed. The Saints were there, and the
Saints
Chiefs
were the 1, I think, throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, and the Chiefs were ahead of them too.
And Chiefs. Yeah, so
it's not like
4 seed.
It's not like you came in as the last seed and it's just like, yeah, we're coming through. Don't doubt us. It was like you came in as a high seed. You've been to the last 2 Super Bowls, and they're still playing it up like nobody thought they were going to win. Every football person in their mind, once they got to the Super Bowl, they're like, yeah, they're going to win it.
I think it's just funny seeing the reactions of Gronk and Brady all the time. Like, you know, they're cocky about it, but like they're allowed to be, and it's funny because you see. It was the little kid, and you were on the podium before the Super Bowl. And it's like, you know, how do you deal with the people that are negative about you? Oh, you're talking about the haters. You know what we do? We love them back. Like, seeing that kind of stuff. I mean,
it's great.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's great if you didn't have 6 of them. But like at this point, it's like just win and go home. Nobody wants to see you here. It's not that like people are saying you're not going to make it. It's like people don't want you to make it. It's like. It's the 6th time now I've seen him fucking hoist this trophy. And I'm like, I don't want to see this anymore. Good, you're a legend. Go home to your supermodel wife and stop bugging me.
I would have really loved to have seen Mahomes.
Yeah, exactly. Like any other team. Any other team in the playoffs. It's like.
The only reason I was driven to hope to see the Patriots hopefully win another Super Bowl going into Sunday's game was basically the money I had on it. Other than that,
of course.
I can't stand them.
Yeah. I'd bet on the Patriots and hope to God I lose money because it's just like it would be great. I'd be happier to see someone else win than to me make money.
Like at this point, it's just gotten to you're gonna bet against the Patriots only because you're the sheer and utter hate you have for them.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's a stupid bet. So I've basically just come to terms with the fact that you put money on them because they're going to be there 3 out of 4 times or whatever. It's 3 out of 5 times the last 5 years.
It's just, I think if they weren't from Boston, I wouldn't care as much. But because it's a Boston city and everybody in Boston wins, it's like, I just don't want to see it. Like, I don't care about Golden State. I think that's fun just because they built that team and it's just like, Yeah, they brought in KD, but like
They
it's
were
fun
already
basketball.
there. Yeah.
It's not the Patriots throwing 5-yard passes every down to just kind of walk
Yeah.
down the field and boring football. It's like they shoot threes, they have fun, but like it's Boston.
It's a
and
different
it's like
brand.
I've seen
the whole dink and dunk thing, and then the Boston thing is definitely
they've got how many championships since we've been born?
since 2001 that city has now won 12 championships.
Like that's stupid. That's all I've ever seen as a kid growing up.
Boston, and more Boston.
Yeah,
And I can't
it's
stand
just
it.
like let someone else win for a change. I don't know.
It exhausts me and
it
it
sucks.
pains me. I know.
It sucks. It's just like we have the same conversation every single year. And we're going to do this again next year when the podcast swings around to the Super Bowl talk and be like, so Tom Brady won his 7th Super Bowl in a row.
They all said that they're coming back. So, I mean, yeah, that could definitely end up coming into fruition.
Is Tom Brady too old? Start the conversation now.
Is he the GOAT? I'd say so, though.
Is he? All sports. Is
In
Tom
all
Brady the
sports?
greatest of all time? I'd give him football. Yeah, he's probably the
Football for sure.
Yeah, I don't think that's a battle. Is he the greatest athlete in sports?
It's so hard because he's been on one team his whole career.
Yeah.
I feel like if he did it with multiple teams, with different
Multiple coaches.
like the guy basically,
He's a
aside from
systems keeper.
one major injury that he had, like he hasn't faced much adversity.
No.
So I mean,
He got suspended once. Missed 4 games.
that's right. Pardon me. He did get suspended for Deflategate.
Yeah.
So I mean,
That was huge. Set back his whole career.
yeah,
No.
tarnished legacy.
I don't know,
nothing.
man. Like,
I mean,
is he Jordan? I don't think
I'm
so.
gonna say no because Jordan revolutionized
Yeah.
the game, and the impact he had off the court, I think, is another factor that goes into what a GOAT is.
Yeah.
Right. Like there have been players in the NFL that have done a lot more off the court than he has, or off the field. Sorry.
Tom Brady voted for Donald Trump, so the character is not there.
Yeah.
That one's clear.
Mm-hmm.
But success-wise, it's tough to argue. I mean, is he LeBron?
Well, he sure thinks he is.
Yeah.
I
I know that, but is he LeBron James?
No, because
I don't
just the
think
way
so.
that they're structured, LeBron is a physical specimen, and he plays the game at a completely another level. And Tom Brady's the most unathletic human being I've ever seen.
He's brilliant. He's a brilliant football player, and he's real accurate. But that's it.
Yeah, like
he's got the 2 biggest.
He's not.
He's the greatest of all time in the 2 tools that he has, and it's not even close.
But that being said,
But that's it.
It's those 2 things that he has on a whole nother level that everybody has ever seen before.
Yeah, and he got paired with a coach that knows how to play that.
Yeah,
and he set him up for, what's he been, 15 years? How long's his career been? Long enough. But he's been there
10 plus now.
Yeah, so he's more than a decade of him
1999,
following him.
I believe he was drafted.
Yeah, so
came in
that's almost 20 years, dude.
It's almost 20 years. I think might be his 17th or 18th year.
So you're coming up on 20 years of the same thing over and 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 over. And it's just, he's good. He wins. He's the most he'll end up being the most successful athlete of all time, I think.
Yes, aside from maybe like Bill Russell, who has like 10 championships.
Is it 10?
Like,
or is it 8?
Might be 8. I know like the Montreal Canadiens have guys that have won 10 Stanley Cups and stuff
back
like that.
When there was 6 teams.
Then.
Yeah.
In today's era of sport where,
it's a tougher era. There's more teams in every single league.
Yeah.
And he's
consistently
been there.
When you do a comparison and the time difference, how many teams are in the league then and how many teams there are in the league now, and in terms of how much competitive a lot of the other sports have gotten, I think, he would be considered the most decorated athlete and most successful athlete in the sport.
Yeah, just the sheer competition alone is like, he's had to beat some big guys. He beat, like, most of his career was against Peyton.
Yeah.
And Drew Brees was good. Kurt Warner was there. Brett Favre was there.
Like, he's outlasted a lot of these guys, and that's what really speaks to him. Like, the longevity of his career and just playing at a high level for so long, I think is really telling of how good this guy is. Like, he's 41 years old, and he's now been to 3 straight Super Bowls.
He could not play any other sport.
That's fair.
I think if you take any of the other greatest athletes in their sport, they could probably transition into another sport and succeed. I don't think Tom Brady could do it. He might be able to be a pitcher, because I know he got drafted. I think he got drafted by the Padres way back, but it might have been like a Johnny Manziel draft type of thing where they just draft him just for fun. But outside of that, he could not be an athlete.
I agree with you.
So I don't know how he would go down as the greatest athlete of all time. Just on that sheer fact alone, I don't think he could do it. He's not LeBron. LeBron could probably go play pretty much any other sport and succeed at some point.
I think that's fair, yeah.
I think Sid could probably play
baseball.
Yeah. Matthews was hitting home runs out of Rogers Center last year when he took BP. Like, they've got some athletes in the NHL. I mean, a lot of NBA guys could flip sports and play something else. Tom Brady, I don't think he'd be very good anywhere else. That's for sure.
He's never been considered the most athletic person.
No.
He's just really good at the smarts and the ins and outs of the game, the attention to detail. It's like the mental side of the game that everybody kind of overlooks.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's kind of why. But, like, just from the perspective of playing for so long, like, he's outlasted guys like Peyton. He's outlasted guys like Tony Romo's now younger than him, and he's in the broadcast booth putting on a show for everybody. Meanwhile, if I am correct, Romo might have started his career after him and ended it before. I'm going to just confirm that now.
Did he?
Tony Romo played 14 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
Started in, it looks like 2003, which is 2 years after Tom Brady won his first
So
Super Bowl.
He out-careered Tony Romo. Tony Romo's kind of got abused in his career, though.
Yeah, that's fair. I just like bringing him up because he's Cowboys, but...
Yeah. All right. I'm done with football.
I've made my points.
I think that's enough on the thing. We'll move on from one of the greatest of all time to the greatest of all time in his sport in Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh, wow.
This is great.
The first designated segment we've ever had for soccer.
We have no Amir. We can talk soccer because he's not here to shut it down. It's great. So,
I'm not crying.
Yeah,
You're
no.
crying.
Hold it in, buddy. We'll be okay. I'm not a soccer fan. Mauro knows this, but I do want to talk about this because it was big a couple weeks ago and we're a little behind the times. But Ronaldo's been in some shit.
A little bit.
A lot of shit.
Just a little.
So it's been over a month now since the rape allegations came out, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't know the story, look it up. I'm not going to go through it, but he basically was accused of rape. It was years ago.
It was over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Or it might have been 2009, which is 9.
Is it 10 years ago?
I believe it's 10 years ago.
Let's just, for argument's sake, say it was 10 years ago, and he paid her off, right?
Yeah, they came to an agreement.
Yeah. So she went back on that this year and is now making it public, as far as I know. So that whole situation's going on. On top of that, he was charged or arrested with tax evasion in the last couple weeks.
Oh, he had to pay at least like 3 to 4 million euros for tax evasion.
What's up with soccer superstars, man?
That's not the first time that's happened. He's done it, I think, maybe twice now. And I know Messi's got caught for it once, or tax fraud.
What's up with the best in the sport? Just don't want to pay taxes. They're just too good to pay taxes.
I think it's just
Europeans.
I don't know. I think that they think that they can get away with it. I mean, for a large part, I mean, many of them probably
realistically,
have.
What did it do to either one of them? Neither of them went to jail.
Oh, no, they just got to pay
just like, oh, here you go.
It's just hush money.
Here's my pocket change to get out of that.
At the end of the day, money will get these guys out of a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the Ronaldo thing, the whole rape thing, back in 2010, they came to an agreement, a non-disclosure agreement for $300K. So we're now 2019. So it was 9 years ago that it happened. That, in my opinion, the money went dry and now it went public. I'm a very avid Juventus fan.
It's a touchy
subject. Seeing that
subject.
this happens as soon as he comes out of Spain and into Italy, signs a
Interesting. It's interesting.
It's a red flag for me
Mm-hmm.
that he must have moved on, and then they figured, oh, why not try and hit him now? He's nearing the end of his career.
I mean, I'd do it.
Oh, if I'm in her position, 100%, I'd do it.
Take the money. I mean,
Like, I have the screenshot here still from the Score article. It says, however, Mayorga, the victim, lawyers are pursuing monetary damages and seeking to avoid the non-disclosure agreement on the grounds that she was legally incompetent to agree to the settlement at the time. The civil lawsuit accuses Ronaldo and his representatives of conspiracy, coercion, fraud, defamation, battery, breach of contract, and negligence. So, I mean...
Look, I get it. I know what happened there is horrible.
Yeah,
if it was a thing and if it actually happened, it's horrible.
Yeah.
But you can't come back at him 10 years down the road because you want more money.
I'm not a big fan of it.
Like, maybe that's not the situation, and I don't want to speak to something I don't know, but, like, that's I don't like that. But it still happened. Do you think this tarnishes his legacy?
Not one bit.
No?
No. Soccer's a sport where a lot of these guys, like, I'll just go back into a little bit of the history in terms of, like, some of the world greats. Yeah. Like, Maradona was, like, a serious cokehead, drug addict throughout his playing days, and people considered it to be.
So is Claude Giroux.
That's another thing.
So is 80% in the NHL, but that's
fair. But, like, it basically forced him from the game a little bit.
Yeah.
In his career. But he's still considered one of the all-time greatest, if not one of the best, aside from Pele, because he, along with Pele, won, like, the Player of the Century, and this was not even a decade after he had gone through this whole spout of, dealing with coke and drug addictions and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's a common thing with soccer players that, things just don't happen to tarnish their legacy at all.
Well, like, drugs and all that stuff, that's one thing, but, like, it's an open case of him raping another woman. Like, that's, I don't know, man. Like, for soccer fans, sure, but, like, that I'm sure it's not going to affect him, but, like, me, as someone who doesn't really follow soccer too deeply, and I just know Ronaldo's disgusting at everything he does, that's kind of like, dude, why? It's not like he's an ugly dude. It's not like he couldn't have just, like, walked out and found someone in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, why?
If it forces him from the game, I think that is the only point I think that it will affect his legacy.
Like, if he gets suspended?
If he gets, like forced from the game, where it's basically, like suspension,
they don't let him
you
play.
Can't play, whatever it is, like, a significant thing has to happen.
Yeah.
Because, like, soccer has been a sport filled with scandals throughout the years from organizations, players, and whatnot, where players get suspended because, they were involved in match fixing and stuff like that. I'm Italian. It's kind of been the precedent that's been set for the league. So
it's kind of just what you do. It's in our blood.
Oh, Italians won the World Cup. How many refs did they pay off? So, I mean, it's always been a thing where, money and politics and scandals are filled within the sport.
Yeah.
That being said, clubs just don't get tarnished. Players don't get tarnished. Their legacies remain intact.
I guess the closest comparison you can make to is either Ben Roethlisberger or Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Same thing, right? Like, when you think of Kobe, do you think of what he did?
No.
No, it's just like Kobe was probably the best shooter in NBA history, and he was one of the most lethal players there's ever been.
Yeah.
It's like you don't really, like, you just think of Kobe as this unbelievable basketball player, right? So it's you're probably right in that sense. It's tough, man. It's just tough to see him and be like, this is what he did. Like, for a guy of his stature that looks the way he does, who's known outside of the sport for his looks, just to go through with that, I'm like, why, man? You're a billionaire. Not even a millionaire. He's a billionaire.
Well within the billions, I think, with sponsorships, contracts, everything. He's made his fair share of coins.
So what forced you to do this? It's like, this was the one you had to get? There's how many women in the world?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's a tough spot, and I feel for the victim, and I feel for everyone surrounding Ronaldo, and it's just Stupid decision.
I just hate to see it affect his career at this point in time, just because it's 10 years later and he's on my favorite team, and we've invested a lot of money into him and trying to win a championship, and seeing it all go into flames would be the worst thing possible.
For something that happened 10 years ago. That's tough. And I mean,
to be fair, 2009 was when he made the switch to Real Madrid, and this was basically the high point of his career. So maybe it was a kind of spike in his ego.
Oh, he's like, fuck, I'm untouchable. I'll do what I want.
Record transfer at the time. Went to the world's greatest club.
Could go to his head.
You never know.
Just dumb, man.
Oh, well.
Soccer players, what are you going to do? Speaking of something to do with soccer anyways, so the TFC lost Sebastian Giovinco on Thursday night, you said? I think it was
going into Friday. I believe the news was broken.
Do you have the team up to where the hell he went? Because I don't even remember. It's not even. I don't know much about soccer leagues, but I've never heard of this one.
Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia.
Why?
Because TFC didn't want to pay him, in my opinion.
Okay, I don't know much about the TFC rules, but can you not go from one TFC team to another?
TFC 2?
Or sorry, from MLS from one MLS team to another. My bad.
The MLS is different from other European leagues because they do like trades and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So could they not have traded?
In MLS, you're allowed 3 designated players that don't count against the cap. So
really,
he makes $7 million.
Okay.
Michael Bradley makes like 6.5, and Altidore makes another multi-million-dollar contract. Everybody else is basically under $1 million or under like 500,000.
So they're all on CFL contracts.
Basically, that's how it happens. So if he wanted to go to another team, it'd probably be a team that would be willing to pay him more than he was making. He was making like 7.1 million US.
So they could have traded him to another MLS team.
Yes, but they probably wouldn't have gotten as much back. They basically said, "We'll sell them to you, Al Hilal, and take the $2 million back." So they sold him to
$2 million.
The Saudi Arabian team for $2 million.
Yeah,
I believe when he swapped over from Juventus.
Yeah,
I think he went for like 10 or 12 million.
So they paid 10 to 12 million for him,
and then 4 years
and then sold him for 2.
A big net loss.
Yeah. I mean, you came away with an MLS Cup and almost a CONCACAF, but you spent $10 million to do it.
That was I'm all for it. But
why?
At the sense of seeing him go for that low.
Yeah.
Sid Seixeiro was saying, you're selling the league.
He's the best player in the league.
The league MVP of, I believe it was 2016.
He's been top 5 in the league for 4 years, 3 years, whatever it's been.
He's a prolific scorer in the league.
He's all they have.
When he came to the league in 2015, I believe he set the record for most goals in a season. He won the Golden Boot, which is the top scorer of the league, 100%. I'm 90.
He's got numerous awards.
He's basically broken every TFC record. He's the greatest player that the team and probably the league has ever seen.
Yeah.
And to see him go away for $2 million.
For nothing.
For nothing.
Nothing. $2 million. It's like, this looks horrible on this league.
And his Instagram post, like it almost brought me to tears.
Yeah, I felt bad. Because he seems like he wants to be here.
Like,
but they don't want him.
They're moving in another direction.
Down?
Yeah, they're literally rebuilding. They moved on from their best midfielder, Vasquez, who, when healthy, he's a little bit older now, but when healthy, he's the best midfielder they have aside from Bradley. Because he plays a different role. Bradley's more defensive. Vasquez is more offensive. When he gets the ball, a lot of the balls get fed into Giovinco that nobody else can make, in a way that nobody else can make plays because, again, he's from Barcelona youth camp.
Yeah.
So he had been brought up in an elite camp, injured, never panned out like the rest of the players in the camp.
Yeah.
Was always kind of the outcast. Comes to TFC and part of the team that was the best ever. The whole I think it was 69, 70 point season. They set the record. It got broken this year when Atlanta.
Weren't they a penalty shootout away from winning the CONCACAF finals?
Yeah.
Like they were good. So Giovinco in 2018 was CONCACAF Men's Best 11, CONCACAF Champions League Best 11, Champions League Golden Ball, He won the Player of the Year in 2015 and 16. MLS, Best MLS player. He won the ESPY in 2016.
Yeah.
He won the Golden Boot in 2015, MLS MVP in 2015. He was on the Best 11 in 2015, 16, and 17. He was an All-Star in 2015, 16, 17, 18. And on and on and
The
on.
list goes on.
Canadian Championship top scorer. He won won an MLS Cup in 2017, was the Eastern Conference Championship winner in 16-17, Canadian Championship in 16-17, 18. The guy was good.
Like, to be fair, like, I'm Italian, so I'm going to hold extreme bias towards Giovinco.
Yeah.
Like, he, from 2015 to 2017, league's best player.
Yeah.
2018, the team fell off the map.
Yeah.
And seeing him
It was
injured,
tough for them, though.
Seeing them not be able to play to what really they are a playoff team. They didn't reach their potential whatsoever. They completely flopped.
Yeah, they were bad.
They basically, I guess, got turned off from the whole idea of continuing with these guys that they had. Like Giovinco expiring contract, they said, you know what, F it. And I'm gonna take TFC's side and be devil's advocate here, but like, how can you justify giving him more money at 32 years of age and him moving in a declining trend? You know, like he isn't scoring like he used to.
Do you not think
he might have earned it?
Yeah.
Based on what he's done for
past
the
performance,
club.
yeah.
What's the extra $3 million a year? Like if you wanted $10 million, let's say, that he got when he signed with the Saudi team, let's say he wanted to remain pat at $7 million.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they wouldn't give him the $7 million and they wanted to pay him less than what Bradley's making at whatever $6 million.
Yeah.
What's the extra couple million at that point? He's
brought
in so many fans. He made a fan. He turned me into a fan.
He's part of the only reason I know anything about the MLS at all is because I started watching him play soccer. I'm like, this kid's good. He's so little.
Like he just 5'6", 5'5" maybe.
And he just dominates out there. I'm like, that's nuts.
It's sad, but I mean, seeing what he did for the team and the league, like it put them on the map. Like,
yeah, that's the one. I think this looks worse on the league than it does on TFC. Because you just let the best player in your league walk for $2 million.
Yeah.
$2. Like, that's...
It pains me to say that... It pains me when I see that Toronto FC saying, yeah, we're looking at other players now to fill the void.
You can't.
Come on.
Who?
That's BS. I've
seen
seen over the last couple of days they had brought in some names. I'm looking at their Instagram, looking at their Twitter. Oh, welcome to the Reds, so and so, and I'm like, who? Who's this? Who is this?
Like, I don't know, man.
It annoys me.
You've heard me rip on the MLS a lot.
Yeah.
Just because I don't. It's not a real league, man. They just something like this happened. Like your league is a sham at this point, man. You're losing your best player.
Yeah.
This is like if Sidney Crosby or Connor McDavid went to the KHL.
Basically.
It's like, it's a joke.
I love MLS I only loved the MLS because he was there.
Yeah.
Like I never would watch them. Whenever I thought TFC, it's like, oh, well, okay.
Before
then
this,
he comes to the team. It's like, wow, we have an Italian on the team.
Yeah.
Came from my favorite team to TFC. It's like, okay, now I'll watch. I'll start becoming a fan. I used to watch every game.
Yeah.
And now this happens, and it's like, well, damn.
Now what?
Now this is
we're back to 2014 when the team was trash.
Yep.
Do you think Altidor's next? I heard a lot of talk about him going to.
See, the thing is with a lot of these guys, like Giovinco, Altidore, like they get injured.
Yeah. And
it's hard to perform, and it's hard to remain competitive when your best players aren't playing.
They both missed... I know it was for a red card, but they both missed time in the MLS final, didn't they?
During the playoffs, yeah.
Or the semifinal, I think it was. That's tough. That was the one thing with Giovinco is he had a shit attitude. He was definitely Italian.
He's, as they would put it in Italian, testa dura, is hard-headed, stubborn.
Yeah.
So, very vocal about when things got called that he didn't like.
Yeah.
Which I can resonate to because I'm the same way.
Me too. Don't get me wrong.
Don't get me wrong.
But that's tough. I understand.
I'm a drama queen on the field. So.
I understand that side of things. Like you kind of gotta separate yourself from that if he's not the best player in the league.
Yeah.
You deal with that if he's that good.
Yeah.
If he's consistently one of the league's the highest scores.
Mm-hmm.
You think they kind of fell victim to the fact that their schedule was absolutely ridiculous at the beginning of the year?
I believe it.
And that's probably most of the reason why he's gone.
They had been to 2 straight finals.
Yeah.
Or 2 straight finals.
2 straight MLS finals, and then
they qualified for Champions League, and they made a deep, deep run to the final that, it would have been great to see them win. But that's what happened at the beginning of the season. They invested so much time, so much training, so much effort into trying to bring home that trophy that they'd never won before.
They didn't use their starters,
They basically said, everybody who's on the team, you're going to Mexico, and then basically TFC2 had to step up and play in the league, and then they just fell so far behind.
They couldn't come back.
And then when they didn't win in the Champions League final for CONCACAF, it was just too big of a void and too big of a points gap to try and get back into the thing. And then injuries played a huge part. And a lot of it could come down to the fatigue that, they played so much soccer over the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That how can they play on a competitive level?
They never really got time off
and tweaking something.
They never got a chance to take a rest. Like, it was just like right back into it, keep going. Yeah. It's like when you're playing at that high a level, it's like you're probably going to suck the next year.
Yeah, it was due, and I feel kind of hard done by as a fan, seeing that they will literally just let it all go away like that.
Just because that happened.
I don't know. It upsets me.
It sucks, and I think they pulled the trigger way too early. I
believe it, because if you allowed them to come off, a full off season, one where they could fully rest and come into the season fresh with the same cast, and then if it doesn't work, you move on from the coach or you move on from a player, then you make the adjustment.
Yeah,
but like
not after. I just think it's a weird time to do it. It's even like, say you want to move on from Giovinco, fine. If you do it next year, after you give him a chance to rest and then have a full season where he's probably going to be back up closer to what he was before, you're probably going to sell him for a little more than $2 million.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, he wanted to be here. Like, Toronto's full of Italian people. Just
like you said, that Instagram post was like it was so heartfelt and emotional. It's just like you could tell he likes it here, and he loves the city and he wants to be here. But they just, I don't know. The relationship went sour at some point, and it's weird. I don't understand it. But from bad contract news to good contract news.
Well. We
finally made it.
We have a winner.
Finally made it to the news we've all been waiting for. Austin Matthews signed an extension with the Toronto Maple Leafs. 5-year deal worth $11.634 million a year. I love it.
That's a lot of money.
I love it. I don't care, man. Like, I was expecting, like, I get it. All the reaction on Twitter seems to be negative right now because it's a lot of money and you're not paying him for 8 years. You're paying him for 5. But who cares? If you're paying him for 8, you're going to have to pay him north of $12.5 million.
The most important part is that you have him locked up for these next 3 years that you really have a good shot at winning it with the core still in a cap-friendly environment.
As long as you have Morgan Riley on the deal that he has, that is the length of your window right now.
Yeah.
Right now, Riley's signed to... What, do you know his deal offhand?
I believe he's at 5. I don't know for how long, though.
It's at least the next 3 years, I think. So as long as you have Matthews under contract with Marner and Nylander and Tavares for the next, where is it here? It would be 3 more seasons after this.
Yeah.
Then that's your window. I don't care if you're paying him 11. I was expecting 12.5, 13. And they gave him a hell of a lot less than that. That's a steal.
Yeah.
5 years is a long time. There's a tweet, I forget who posted it, but there's like 5 years can make a lot of difference. The Leafs posted this 5 years ago, and it was a picture of Dave Bolin after he won the Cup. And it was like before he signed with the Leafs, and I'm like, ooh, times have changed. Holy shit.
I mean, I know fans wanted the 8 as the
number for sure
term, but I mean,
you
getting
can't.
him until 27, I get that. Yeah, he could walk out in his prime. I mean, that could be an issue, but right now the focus is winning.
Yeah.
And he's made the commitment to stay with the team for 5 years, and you have 5 solid years now to try and build a core around him and make him convinced that through the 5 years that the Leafs are still an organization worth playing for, and I think that's an easy task for Dubas and the rest of the management.
There's nothing saying that he's going to leave after these 5 years.
Exactly.
He can re-sign in 5 years to that stupid $13-14 million deal. That'll probably end up being like 16 with the cap going up.
He just wanted to maximize the amount of money he can make over his 2 contract periods. So like
I don't blame him. It works in the Leafs' favor because it's like you don't have to pay him 12 that you were probably going to have to pay him if you took the 8-year deal, which is great. And you have room to sign Marner, and you have room to sign Cap, and you have room to bring guys in.
Yeah.
There's no losing on this one. Like, it's more money than you'd hope for in a 5-year deal, but like he's an elite center in the league.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to pay that no matter who it is.
Yeah, it's what they were comparing it to the Penguins dual centers, the identical contracts that the Chicago guys had. Like it's a well-known thing around the league to give 2 guys, the 2 main core players, an absurd amount of money. But like that's just the winning formula, and we've seen it pan out for the last decade between those 3 or 4 teams.
Exactly.
The LAs, the Chicagos, the Penguins.
I'm pretty sure they've said it before, but they're on track to do exactly what Chicago and Pittsburgh have done. And that's you're going to build around these 4 guys, and you're going to have to lose some key players, but you're going to have to refill with prospects and young guys, and
knowing who you can have at role player positions and still be able to field a competitive team down the lineup. That's what wins you the championship. It's the depth that you have.
Exactly.
Because when it comes down to it, the penalty killing, the power play, all the special team stuff, it gets intensified that much more. And when you have, I'm going to just bring up the Penguins, for example, when you have guys like Bonino and Cullen producing points and making big plays like Bonino did in overtime against Washington, that's the kind of stuff that you need down the road in the big crunch games in the conference final and the Stanley Cup final. So, I mean, keeping him at 11, it's going to help when it comes to the $2 million and below contracts that you need to fill up the rest of the roster.
As far as it being like stupidly high of a contract, like in comparison, Sid signed for 8.7,
which was 17% of the cap
in 2013, and then the next year Patrick Kane signed for 10.5,
which was probably again 17%.
Yeah.
Of the cap.
So realistically, it's been Kane signed in 2014. It's now 5 years later. The percentage of cap is almost the same, if not better, for the Leafs than it was when Kane and Sid both signed those deals.
For sure.
So you're really not, like, it looks bad number-wise. Like, Andrew Berkshire just tweeted out, it was like, would you rather have, Amir sent it to me, so would you rather have Draisaitl and McDavid for 22, where is it?
It was 22 something, and then
McDavid and Draisaitl for $21 million, or Matthews and Tavares for 22.6. And like, that makes a lot of sense, but the McDavid and Draisaitl deals were signed. McDavid was the before last year. Draisaitl was after their playoff run. That was like $12 million in salary cap ago. Like, the cap was significantly lower then than it is now. The percentage is lower on the Tavares and Matthews deal than it is on the McDavid and Draisaitl. I'm like, that's great, but like, I'd rather have Crosby and Malkin at $17.2 million.
100%.
But that's not, like, it's not indicative of the times.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. I mean, when McDavid signed 12.5, oh my gosh, he's the highest paid, whatever. And but when you compare it, it's 17% of the cap, just like what Crosby got.
Exactly. They're all getting the same.
It was.
They should be making the same. They're difference makers on this team, and there's something you can build around.
100%.
The interesting thing to see from here on out will be the Marner deal.
And I was gonna say, this could get interesting.
Because I don't give Marner more than Matthews, but his dad's Paul Marner, and his dad thinks he deserves more than Matthews.
Paul Marner's a character.
I don't know how much pull Paul Marner has in the negotiations compared to what Michael Nylander had for Willie. But if he has his way, he'll be taking more than Matthews. If not, and he takes the way it should be, he'll be getting what I think the number should be around 10, 9.5, 10.
Kucherov just signed for 9.5.
Yeah, Kucherov signed a sweetheart deal. Like, that's...
Yeah. Is there any way you're going to convince Mitch and the rest of his camp to do that? Probably not.
Is Kyle Dubas as much of a wizard as Steve Yzerman? I think he's like the Draco Malfoy to his Harry Potter right now. He's not quite as good.
I like that analogy.
He's not.
I like that analogy, but I don't consider Dubas.
Dubas has done some wicked stuff.
He's done phenomenal so far, in my opinion.
Look at his resume so far. He brought in Tavares.
Yeah.
After San Jose was offering him 13 a year, I think it was. Was it 13 and a half? A lot of money.
It was by far the most he was going to get.
And he got Tavares to come here. He got Willie at 6.9. Nice.
Yeah.
He got he brought in Muzzin without losing a roster player, Liljegren or Sandin.
Correct.
And then he got Austin Matthews under $12 million. It's a good resume good resume was he 30, 34? How old is Dubas?
Dubas is...
He's under 40, I know that. Like, he's young. To be able to do that at that age, 33 years.
Turning 34.
That's nuts. To be able to do that at his age, incredible.
Do I think he'll be able to pull Marner below the $10 million mark? No.
I didn't think he'd be able to get Willie under 7.5. He did that. Yeah, it took too long.
It took a little longer than what we would have wanted, but
he did it.
He's turning around. I mean, he had a really nice.
He's got 6 points in his last 5.
Last night was actually really wicked. I was tuning in for the third period, and then you see Nylander flying up the wing, and it's like, oh, where's he going with the puck? And then he just dishes it backhand right across to Connor Brown. Nice tap and goal for him.
He's looked good for his last 10, 15, but he had no puck luck. Just couldn't. Yeah. Nobody would he'd set guys up, but he couldn't get it tapped in. Couldn't hit the net worth of shit.
Yeah.
He'd miss by 3 feet.
I mean, do you think Marner could become an issue in the sense that offer sheets, or is that? It's been.
I don't think so. I know it's been mentioned, but it's something you just got to bring up because it's a story.
Yeah.
And it's just this could be a thing. Let's talk about it for 4 months. But really, have you ever seen someone offer sheeted? The last one was O'Reilly when he was in Colorado. It was 2013 or 14, something like that. So, yeah, you know what? They might offer him a contract. He has to accept it in order for the offer sheet to go through.
And then they have the yes or no option to match.
And then they can match it. But are you going to give up 4 first-round picks for Mitch Marner? Does Mitch Marner turn your team into a contender where you're at the point where it's probably going to be the 31st overall pick for 4 straight years? No.
I don't think there's a contender that has that kind of cap to do it.
Exactly. So, there's none of the people that are able to offer the offer sheets are going to offer him that. You can't afford to lose 4 first-round picks for Mitch Marner. I love Mitch Marner, but I wouldn't trade 4 first-round picks for him.
That is a little bit absurd.
Because if he's gonna sign an offer sheet, it's gonna be a $12, $13 million ticket. Because you're gonna have to pull him out of his hometown.
Any case that he gets an identical contract to Matthews from his case?
I think it's at the beginning of the year. I would have said no.
Yeah.
You mean value or
in terms
term?
Of what he thinks he could be worth? Do you think there's any sort of, if you're Mitch Marner, what are you saying that can basically pull you to getting Matthews' money? Because at this point,
I haven't been hurt in the last 2 seasons.
He does have more points.
He's got more points this year.
The team
he's got more points per game this year, which is even bigger. Because they could be Matthews missed 20 games.
If Mitch hits 100 points, he's got a strong case for getting identical contract to Matthews.
Yeah.
And as much as the Leafs fans might not want to,
you don't want to
hear that, it could become a reality.
However, he's also a winger. That's the one big thing that you could argue. If you're Kyle Dubas, you're yeah, you're great, but Mitch does all this. Austin does all this. He's a centerman. He plays defense.
Centermen do typically get more money. It's just a known fact.
We didn't give him John Tavares for half a year.
Fair.
Could he be worth the Matthews contract? Absolutely. Should they give it to him? And do I think that's where they're going to land? No.
I don't think it's in the best interest of the team.
No.
But if the necessary strings are pulled, if it's another contract sit out we had with Nylander, I wouldn't want to see that.
I think he gets offer sheeted before
that
it reaches the what do you call it? Is it October 1st, October 31st, whatever it was?
Yeah.
Before, I think he'd get offer sheeted before that date. I don't think people were going to offer sheet Nylander because it wasn't a big contract to match.
Yeah.
But if Marner gets that deep and it's back and forth, then I think someone steps in. But if you give the Matthews is 11,635.
Yeah.
If you give that to Marner over 8 years, I like that. I think that's a steal.
What do you think he'd be looking for in terms of term? Like if you sign him 8.
Obviously,
8
he
years,
wants 8.
I'm thinking
He likes it here.
He's from
he
here.
grew up a Leaf fan.
Yeah, like I can't see him not wanting to sign here long term.
No. Even it'd be one of those things too, where even if he gets the 5-6, he's going to look to re-sign here after.
Yeah.
Unless you totally screw him over while he's here, but I don't see that happening. He'll be here long term. It's just a matter of if he gets 8 on this one, or he goes bridge and gets 8 on the next one.
While McKenzie was going over some of the contracts and how it would look, I think he had it estimated at 10 or 10.5. And he was basically playing around with...
Was he saying 8 years or...
I don't know the term, but he basically just had the depth chart going during the second intermission last night, saying, this was how the team would look on a 2019-2020 thing. Gardner's gone. And then you have guys like Justin Hall filling in, and you have...
Lily could come up.
Liljegren could come up. They said Ozhiganov's probably not going to be able to get there unless they give him money that could convince him to not go back to the KHL.
Especially if he's a 7th man right now.
Exactly.
But I don't think you need
They had an open spot on the left wing as well, because it would have been Trevor Moore called up, and then I don't remember who's on the 4th line right now.
Goge.
I think it was Freddie. And then you got the 3 at the top, Matthews, Tavares, and Kadri.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's saying that it's workable.
100%. Like, you don't really need to give up much, if anything, to make this roster work with the current cap situation. Would it be nice to get rid of a couple, like, mid-range contract to free up some space in case you need to add a piece? Sure. But do you need to? Probably not.
No.
Like, you add a guy like Jake Muzzin on the back end, and now you've got a bit of a more defensive look on the defensive end. It's looked great.
And that's what you need.
What are you looking to add? You're going to lose Gardner for 4.5, 4.25. Let me pull it up right here. 4 even. 4.05. So, I mean, that frees up, even if you sign a guy worth 2, you've freed up that $2 million. You bring in a defensive player that can do what Muzzin's doing, but not on Muzzin's level. You don't really need to add pieces, right? So you're not looking to have $8 million in cap space by the time you reach the deadline.
I still think they need another defenseman, though.
Yeah.
I'm not sold.
I don't, but I didn't think they needed one at the beginning of the year either. I think they're playing them wrong. Muzzin's huge. It definitely makes the team better.
I'm not going to lie. I like the Gardner-Dermott look that they went against the Penguins with. It worked. Like, both of their early goals, because they were down 2 early, came into the second. I think it was the Dermott goal, or I don't know which order it was, but
Dermott scored, assisted by Gardner. I know that.
I think that might have been the first goal, but it was a bang play. Gardner, Dermott, boom, it worked. The second goal happens, I'm like, damn, it's them again.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't supposed to happen.
No.
Because this is Jake Gardner we're talking about.
See, the thing I like about that pairing is Dermott's such a fluid skater. It's so easy for him to get back and stop guys that, like, Jake coughs up that, like, a puck anywhere in the ice, Dermott's there somewhere.
That is fact.
And he's able to get there and make that mistake a little less detrimental.
And he's able to, what's the word? I guess mask the mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't.
And to be honest, I wasn't big on Dermott going into the season, but he's really, like,
he's looked good.
Night and day difference between what I thought of him then and what I thought of him now.
He was so bad in the playoffs. I was he looked lost. And I'm like, I get it, he's young, but, like, it was just, it wasn't pretty. He had a rough stretch. That
was kind of the look I had of him coming out of the playoffs, and it's like, you can't trust this guy.
No.
But he's really turned the corner, in my opinion. So,
I think it's reps for him, right? Like, you got to get it at the big league level.
He was a rookie defenseman. You come out of that a changed player. I'd like to think he would have been. So it's definitely paid dividends so far for the Leafs because he's playing really, really well, and he's become a steady top 4 guy. And I mean, now you have another 2 guys coming up out of the system in Liljegren and Sandin, and I mean, I think at some point, you're able to move a contract like Zaitsev if you really needed to.
I don't think that happens. I know there was a report, I forget where it was out of, but they said they're looking into moving him, which is great. You might move him, but I think you're going to have to bring back a contract that looks identical.
That's the problem.
So it's not really worth it. Like, can Zaitsev step out of Toronto and go succeed somewhere? I think absolutely.
Yeah.
He's got the tools to do it. I think he's in the wrong role here in Toronto, and they don't let him play offense. Yeah. So you're going to give up on this project, essentially, to bring in another guy that's just not succeeding somewhere else. And it's like you're just flipping projects in order to make that trade. And I don't know if it's worth it. If Dubas can pull that off and not bring back a contract, then he's becoming the Harry Potter of the NHL.
Yes.
Because it'd be tough to do. If he does it, great. If not, I mean, I don't think it's a big deal right now. You just gotta be able to you have to shelter him and Gardner.
I think that's
and putting them on the same line doesn't do it.
You got to put a defensively sound guy with them, or at least somebody who's able to, like you said, mask the thing, or at least cover for any sort of cough-ups that Gardner might make. Exactly.
So they added Muzzin. Muzzin looked great through the first 3 games.
Fairly convinced by his play.
Yeah. He's not one to blow up the highlight reel, even though he scored 4 points last night.
Yeah.
Great shot. Great defensively. Throws big hits. It adds that physical aspect to the team that they haven't had, right?
Yeah.
Is that enough to match up with Boston?
It's always damn Boston.
That's the only one. Like, they don't play. This is my rant with this. Is like, you're not trying to beat Boston. You're trying to beat the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
And as a whole, I think they match up great with everyone that's currently in a playoff spot, except for Boston.
Boston's just got the edge on them. No matter what you do, you go into the freaking TD Garden, and whatever you've tried in the past
it just doesn't work.
Other teams, it just doesn't work.
No. So now you're getting they don't play Boston anymore this year, right? They're done.
They've finished all their games.
So you're going to come into the playoffs against Boston with Muzzin, who they haven't seen.
And that's the thing.
Different.
It would have been nice to have had one of those, here's where we stand against them kind of games later on in the season.
Yeah.
But I mean, going into
I'd rather not.
In a sense, yeah, like going into them fresh and with a new look that they haven't been able to see in Muzzin.
Yeah, exactly. Is it risky, and is it like we don't really know what's going to happen? Of course. But they also don't know what they're going to see. They haven't. Playing out of LA, they didn't play Boston much, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, they didn't play in the finals.
They didn't play them too much.
So they haven't really seen a ton of Jake Muzzin. So they don't know what to expect. So, I mean, it's big in that sense. But, like, the way I see it is if you're trying to play to beat Boston, you're going to try and get bigger, right?
Well, that's the thing. They're a physical team. They'll get in your face. And you need to stand up.
If you get bigger, you're probably going to get slower.
Yeah.
If you get slower, you're fucked against Tampa. Because we skate with Tampa.
Yeah.
But if you get any slower, you're not going to skate with Tampa.
Well, look at what happened when Tampa met Boston.
Exactly.
One game they won, and then they got swept.
Slaughtered.
It was a 4-1.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even a contest after.
So it's one of those things, you kind of got to hope you don't run into Boston, which is kind of what it looks like right now.
Well, right now, Montreal's in the 3rd spot.
Which would be a blast. Imagine a Montreal-Toronto series in the first round.
When was the last time that ever happened?
I think it was like 97?
Damn.
It's been time, but like imagine that as a first round matchup.
I honestly never thought Montreal would be in this position at this point.
Oh,
you told me that they were going to be in a 3rd spot in the Atlantic.
I would have laughed in your face. It's unbelievable what they've been able to do. Like their roster is not pretty, and they're still sitting.
I mean, between Marc Bergevin and Peter Chiarelli, like I love roasting like those 2 managers the most. But I mean, I don't know what Bergevin pulled off, but whatever he did, it's working.
Well, it was like the conversation, him, Chiarelli, and Dorian were like the 3. We were trying to figure out which one was the worst GM in the NHL, and it was just like, well, apparently it's not Bergevin, because whatever the fuck he did worked.
Yeah.
And maybe it's catching lightning in a bottle, and he got lucky, but like he's still got draft picks coming up, and he's still got Suzuki coming up, and they still have an unbelievable prospect pool coming up, and it's like if you're succeeding with the lineup you got now, it's almost like the Leafs. in that first year with Matthews, Marner, and
where
Nyland.
they had no expectation,
And look what they're doing.
I think
with more coming up.
I think that's a big thing in the NHL now. Like when you get a young team, and you have absolutely no expectation, things just click.
I think that's just the thing in general. When there's no pressure, that these guys show up.
Look at the Devils last year. The Devils had guys like Jesper
look
Bratt,
at
Miles Wood.
look at Vegas.
Guys I'd never heard of going into the season playing.
Look at Vegas.
Oh, that's another one.
Vegas just kind of nobody expected anything. They walked right through to the Stanley Cup final, right?
Yeah.
They swept LA in the first round with Jonathan Quick playing like an absolute brick wall. He had like a 970 something save percentage, and he still didn't.
Did they sweep San Jose?
It was either 4-0 or 4-1.
Who did they play in the second round? Was it San Jose or was it the
San Jose? No, did they play San Jose?
I'm pretty sure they played San Jose.
Look that up. Either way, they look great.
Like that's a team,
unbelievable in every round.
The point stands that if you're a team without expectation,
it's
just going at it for the sake of
you're playing with house money.
Yeah,
and it's worked for a lot of teams recently. Montreal just seems to be that next one.
I mean, even Ottawa, isn't Ottawa close to a playoff spot right now?
They were.
Oh, no, wait, they suck.
They were.
Never mind. They're in the bottom. But
they started hot. They started hot, and then they lost Shabbat, and then it just tanked.
That was a shame because they were playing really well.
It was hilarious. I'd rather see them lose just so they don't get Hughes.
Yeah.
It would be so funny to see Colorado get Hughes out of all this. Colorado, who's like somewhere
in a corner.
If they're not, if they're not in. Okay, so they are currently 2 points out of a playoff spot with 2 games in hand, and they could end up with Jack Hughes.
Colorado. Yeah. That's so nice.
It would be even better if Colorado dropped a little more, and then were big winners in the lottery and ended up like 1-2, Hughes and Kakko together. It'd be hilarious. What a stroke of luck. What a bad deal, man. Like,
oh man.
What? I still don't understand why Ottawa kept their pick to pick Brady Tkachuk. It just doesn't make.
Obviously, we're confident enough in the fact that they didn't think they were gonna suck.
But how could you not? There's nothing there. You're banking on Matt Duchene to carry the load, or Mark Stone. Like neither of them are all-stars.
That's fair.
Like you didn't think Shabbat was going to be this, and he has been this, and they still suck.
I kind of thought Shabbat.
But this
is
what I mean.
Not this quickly,
yeah,
but
maybe eventually. It's his sophomore year, and he's already tearing it up.
I had seen Shabbat play in junior or the World Juniors.
Yeah, he carried that. Yeah, he was a great skater.
I didn't think that it was he would have such an immediate impact on this team.
It's unbelievable. I don't know how he went. He took that jump. Like he even played last year, and he didn't look like this.
Yeah, they gave him Carlson's load, and he basically just ran with it.
Yeah, just put the team on my back, and away we go.
Got anything else on NHL? I mean, Ovechkin just became the leading point getter of all Russians all time, so that was just breaking within the last 15 minutes or so.
Is he the best Russian of all time, do you think? He's got the most points, but like...
Who else is up there?
Fedorov.
McGillney.
Yeah. Well, it's basically a two-horse race in Fedorov and Ovechkin for me.
Yeah. And they were former teammates at one point, were they not? They both played on...
they played on Washington?
Late.
Did they?
Yeah, I think late
at the end of his career?
Yeah. Fedorov, and then McGillney's third.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got Kovalev, Malkin, Datsuk, Slava Kozlov, and then Kovalchuk. And then, surprisingly, Sergei Gonchar. Wow.
Really? He's that high?
Yashin
he was really good in Pittsburgh.
I mean, the stats clearly suggest that Ovechkin is the best one.
I mean, points-wise, sure.
Points-wise?
Did you just say Pavel Bure below Sergei Gonchar?
Yeah, Pavel Bure only finished with... It's skewed because he only played 700 career games.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. You got to compare
13. But on a point per game basis, Ovechkin tops it with 1.12.
Mm-hmm.
Then I see Malkin at 1.18.
Really?
Bure at 1.11.
Malkin's more points per game than Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Oh, he's played one less season, right?
Ovechkin's played 1,054 games compared to Malkin's 813. He's always been injured.
Malkin and Crosby are around the same number 2, right?
Crosby's, I remember a couple years back when he was in his, it was around like 1.32, and I'm sure it's dropped off since then.
But him and Malkin have played almost identical amount of games, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think considering Crosby's been out for how many games with his concussion problems.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't know. I just think Ovechkin's a great goal scorer, but he didn't play defense for the first 10 years of his career.
Who was the coach during the time? Because I blame it on him.
Was it Boudreau?
It might have been Bruce.
Boudreau was there for a little while.
Left, and they brought in Barry Trotz.
Yeah.
His plus-minus went from a minus 39.
I think he matured. It just kind of changed his game.
Well, and I feel like Barry Trotz, just being the defensive-minded coach that he is,
systems are really good.
And that's the thing, the discipline that comes with it. You got to play the two-way game. Let me pull it up because
he still spent most of his career.
2013, 2014, Alex Ovechkin was a minus 35.
Jesus, weren't they good that year?
I wouldn't doubt that.
I mean, they've been good every year.
They're a perennial threat for the President's Trophy. So, I mean...
Did you say 13, 14?
Yeah, 13, 14, Alex Ovechkin, minus 35.
They went 38, 30, and 14. Like, they were good, and he was bad. He couldn't play defense. So that's the one thing to me is just like, he is probably the best scorer in NHL history. Hot take.
I don't think it's a hot take.
Wayne Gretzky's pretty good.
But Gretzky was always a playmaker.
Yeah. Outright goal scorer, then it's probably Ovechkin.
Outright goal scoring, yeah. Ovechkin by far, but like complete player is going to be Gretzky because he can pass, skate, shoot.
I think Fedorov was a better complete player than Ovechkin was.
Yeah, I believe it, but
it's a different era too. We didn't see much of Fedorov. Like he was.
Yeah, like I wasn't around for the 97, 98 days of Detroit when they were all in the Russian Five or whatever, and
he ended his career as we were growing up. So I mean, it's kind of like we didn't really see the best of him, and he was still good when we were kids.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair to Ovechkin, he's matched his point total in.
Oh, he's consistent.
Just shy of 200 less games. So in 190-ish less games, he's already matched them, and it's a lot harder to score now.
He's consistently doing it, but I just think it's a different time. The goal scoring's up this year, is it not?
It's up this year, yeah.
So I mean, as much as it's a different time, he's kind of on pace. I don't know. He's good. He's great. He's one of the best.
It's the great 8.
Yeah, but I don't know. Just it's the whole not being able to play defense for 10 years that kills him for me.
I mean, I think the cup puts him over the edge now.
That's true.
Like, if he finished his NHL career with that gaping hole at 0 with Stanley Cups, it's a strong case for him being the greatest player all time to never have won a cup.
Yeah, I think
he'd
easily probably be number 1. I think he takes number 1, no problem. Because he'll probably end up top 10 in NHL scoring in history. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, to not have a cup and have Sid have 3. Mm-hmm. Oh, Patrick Laine. He's been horrible.
Like, he's a minus something on a very good Winnipeg team.
He's got.
I'm going to confirm this number now because it's pretty silly.
He had, I think it was 4 goals and then like 34 goals in the second month.
Yeah.
And then he's had 4 since or something like that.
He's a minus 13 on a top 3 team in the West.
What do you pay this kid?
He's an RFA, isn't he?
Yeah. He's coming up this year. That's almost like you almost have to give him a bridge deal just to figure out what the hell he is.
He's got pitcher numbers, and it's scary. 25 goals, 10 assists.
Jesus. That's not good.
And it's not good.
20 of the goals were in 1 month, too. Like, it was... What do you give him? Like, so you saw what Matthews signed for. And as a comparable, he was first in the draft, and Laine was second.
Well, who are the comparable wingers? Like, you got to look,
Point?
the Pasternak.
Yeah.
Like, you'd think he's
Pasternak can't be a
better.
comparable for anyone though.
But that's the thing. Like you look at the Goudreaus, the Pasternaks, the Nylander deals, and you'd think that
The-
he's a little bit on a higher
He's
level
better
than
than
that,
Nylander,
I
but
can't
he
see
hasn't
him
shown
getting.
it.
I can't see him getting more than Marner.
Fuck no. Yeah, that's a good one too, right? Because they'd be the same.
Right, they're gonna come up at the same time.
They're
and
both
it's like,
RFAs this year. I don't know.
that could become a storyline. I think like one outweights the other, and then says, "Hey, look at what he got. Let's time to pay up."
I think Marner would have to outweight Line before Line would outweight.
Yeah,
I think if you're Line, you want to sign before Marner. Because if Marner signs low, if Marner gets like a 9, you're not getting anywhere close to 9 if you're Line.
that's true.
So I mean, Line would probably be early to go. If I'm to take a guess at who's quick to go off the RFA board, I'd say Line once you hit free agency.
Damn, though, in a contract year, he's playing relatively poorly. Like this is well below his expectation, and I mean, they haven't really missed too many of their centermen. I don't know if Brian Little's missed any time, but I mean, Ehlers has been out. You'd think that between him and Kyle Connor, that the one to get the playing time would have been Line, but I mean, Kyle Connor's got his fair share of minutes and points now, where I think he's got
Is he
more.
outscoring him?
Line's at 35.
Probably not goals.
Kyle Connor has 42 points in 52 games compared to Line's 35.
That's brutal. Like it's such a weird situation because he's so talented.
He is, but I the one knock I've had with him from the beginning is that he's very one-dimensional. And I always said, it's Ovechkin 2.0, but I mean, Ovechkin would skate. I don't see a lot of him with his movement. I think it's really limited.
Ovechkin was a better skater. He never skated back, but he was a better skater.
Like he doesn't carry the puck. He doesn't, he's very stationary in his power play setup. I mean, it's kind of Ovechkin replicated, but I mean, other than that, I mean, Ovechkin would have the ability to break out a play in regular play and carry a puck out of the neutral zone and create a fantastic goal out of it. Like there's numerous amount of times that I've seen that early in Ovechkin's career, but Laine's it's a complete flop this year, and I don't know what you do if you're. I think it's Kevin Cheveldayoff. Like I don't know what you do in this sort of situation.
As far as wingers go, just free agents in general, it's like right wingers alone. You got Mark Stone, Joe Pavelski's coming up, not this year though. Eberle's a free agent. Kuch is re-signed, right?
Yeah.
It's not a lot of right wingers. That's the Besser comes up this year.
It's going to be interesting because there's a lot of wingers. There's a lot of young wingers that are all getting to this point where they got to get their money. And, how can you justify giving Laine more money than a guy like Rantanen or a guy like Marner? It's like, the point totals are clearly in their favor. And it's like, I understand you're a second overall pick, but these guys are all outperforming you on a consistent basis.
On every part of the game too. It's not like just one aspect. Like he's not doing anything right now.
It still shocks me to see minus 13 on a Winnipeg team
that just scores.
Yeah, like I don't know, especially on the power play. I don't see it here on Hockey DB, but I mean, you'd have thought that he would have been close to a point per game pace. I mean, he was at. I think it was 70 points last year on the nose. I mean,
did he? He didn't crack 50, did he?
44 goals. Yeah. 26 assists.
Jesus. Okay, rank. Who gets the most from this group of RFAs? Then you got Rantanen, Point, Marner, Aho, Tkachuk, Connor, Besser, Laine. How does that lay out? I think Rantanen probably.
It depends on what Colorado's got in terms of cap space. I'd like to think that Mikko Rantanen's the highest paid out of all those.
He should be. He's the MVP of that group. Like, it's a good thing Amir's not here because he'd complain that Point should be, but no. Point's playing on Tampa Bay, and it's that whole lineup's disgusting.
I'm a big believer that Kucherov made him stand out, but even last year when he wasn't playing with Kucherov, he was still playing really well, so I don't know what to think of that.
Now, you can argue that Rantanen has McKinnon.
Yeah.
But that's all he has, man. He makes Landeskog look good. And Landeskog's not, he's definitely not Kucherov. He's not Stamkos. He's probably not even Tyler Johnson.
To be fair, like, Nathan McKinnon's only making $6.3 million.
Oh, that deal's unbelievable. I love it. Colorado's going to be able to pay him.
Is he going to get 9, 10? Like, he's a winger. Kucherov just signed for 9.5. Marner's probably going to get 10.
I don't think 11? I don't think Kucherov can be a comparable for anyone, just because there's no tax in Florida, and it's easy to take the 9.5. But yeah, I think Rantanen's number one on that list. No doubt.
What do you think he gets? Just as a throw it out there number.
I want to say 11, but I mean. The biggest centers in the game are getting 11 and 12.
That's the thing.
So maybe 10.
I think Sakic can work him down, maybe somewhere in between 9 and 10.
I think Point. Do you think Point or Marner gets more money? I think
Marner.
You think? I think Point.
Oh, no. I retract that because Steve Yzerman is no longer there.
Yeah, he's not going to. You know what though? Point. I don't know what Tampa's going to do. They don't have any cap space.
They got to move on.
Move on from a lot, man. They don't.
They've got guys coming off the books
next year.
No? Like
after next season, it's not pretty.
Callahan's, what else do they have? They have other guys. The Girardi, the 3-point. I mean, they got a lot coming off the books this year. 4.5 in Strawman, Coburn at 3.7, Girardi at 3. That's $10 million. That's actually $11.2 million.
Yeah, that's also 3 of your starting defensemen that you have to replace.
But I'd like to think that you could get Strawman on a cheaper contract than that.
Okay, you have Point as an RFA this year, Paquette as an RFA this year, and Adam Ernie as a RFA this year.
I'm pretty
Cirelli next year, Sergachev next year, Vasilevsky next year.
Yanni Gord's up. No.
He
already got signed. Yeah. No, he already got signed to the 5.
He's going up to 5.1. And he hasn't really lived up to that. It's not pretty, man. Every contract they have is high.
They're a team full. You got to move on from a guy like Alex Killorn. You can't be paying him $4.4 million. Well into his 30s. He's going to be 34 at the end of that contract. You got to move on from a guy like him. You got to move on from a guy like Callahan.
Who's going to take Callahan's contract, though?
Just buy it out.
Oh, that's a big buyout.
I don't know what else to do. Who is going to take that contract?
No one. That's like
5.8.
They're still playing Matthew Carl until the end of next year. 1.833.
Like, they have a lot of money that if they could rid themselves of it, they could definitely sign him. I mean, Cirelli, Matthew Joseph. They're in a tough spot, and Yzerman knew that, but
they have $1.7 million in projected cap space.
Yeah, that's assuming they keep.
They have to re-sign Point.
Yep.
They have to re-sign Paquette. Next year, they have to re-sign Vasilevsky and Sergachev.
2 years from now, Sergachev and Vasilevsky.
Yeah. So
if they don't win anything now, they are.
This is their year, man. If they don't do it now, they're going to have to blow it up.
I still think that they're going to win this year. I mean, they've only got 1.7.
It's not that hot of a take. I mean,
it's not a hot take, but it's also incredible. Hard to call because it's the NHL and literally anything happens in the NHL.
President's Trophy winners don't win cups.
Yep.
That's kind of how it goes.
So if we had to put a number on Point, what's it going to be?
What did I say for Brandon? 10? I think Point gets less just because he's in Tampa and there's no tax.
Do they give him the same contract as Stamkos?
Do you give him more than Kucherov? That's a fun conversation to have if you're...
I'm very biased towards Kucherov.
Yeah. Well, Kucherov's been a Hart Trophy candidate for 2 years now.
Hart Trophy, Art Ross is always in the conversation. If
Point
I'm
isn't.
the GM, I can't justify giving him more, even though he is a centerman.
He doesn't bring that
I'd
much
give
more
him-
value.
If I had to put a number on Point, I'm gonna say a little bit more than Stamkos at like 8.75 or 9 million. In between the two.
I give him 10. I think he can get more than. I think
I could see him
it's
getting
tough.
10.
It would be tough to sign him to 10 because you're paying Kucherov, who you just re-signed. That contract's going to kick in at the same time, and you're giving him 9.5.
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me that Point is a better player than Nikita Kucherov?
I don't think that.
No chance. It'll be a tough offseason for Tampa Bay, man.
Who else we got on that list? We've talked Marner already, so we said that he's somewhere around 10 million.
Yeah.
So we've got.
Ideally, you give him
Rantanen.
9.5.
Yeah.
So I think he probably finishes third. I don't know what Aho is going to get. Aho to Chuck probably come in at the same number, and I think it's around 7.
Well, let's see how much they've got.
Do you
16
pay-
million. They got a lot of money.
Do you pay Patrick Laine more than Aho and Tkachuk?
Tkachuk, it's Matt Tkachuk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing on another level this year.
Yeah. He's
So
playing
I don't think it's easy to justify giving Patrick Laine more than you would
Tkachuk.
to Chuck, even though, long term you'd probably want Laine on your team.
Would you, though? Scoring-wise, of course.
Scoring-wise.
But Tkachuk's just incredible all over the ice. Like, he's good on both ends. He's gritty as shit.
Well, they just signed Teravainen to 5.4. And that's pretty. I'm not gonna lie, that's a steal.
Aho's
they-
probably...
I feel like they'll get Aho for around like.
They got a
7, 8.
lot of cap space.
That's what I
That's
mean.
what's going to be big for them.
They've invested a lot of money into their defense, though. That's why, like Dougie Hamilton at 5.7,
Yeah.
Slavin at 5.3,
Yeah.
Falk at 4.8, DeHaan at 4.5, and
Those-
Brett Pesce at 4.
Those are good deals, though.
That's what I mean. They've invested a lot of money into their defense. Their goaltending, not so much. I mean, Peter Mrazek's on a $1.5 million contract, and former Leaf, Curtis McElhinney.
Leaf great Curtis McElhinney.
I mean, I could see Aho getting around 7.7 to like 9 million. Like, because seeing Teravainen sign for only 5.4, it shocks me because he's a first line guy and he's putting up 60 to 70 points a year.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have thought he would have got somewhere in between 6 and 7, kind of like Pasternak, the Goudreaux,
Yeah.
the Nylanders.
All in that deal. It's weird.
That's a little bit. And I don't know the name of the thing because Ron Francis isn't there anymore, but I don't know the name of the GM. But I think he did a really good job on Teravainen, and I think I'll get Aho for a steal.
Yeah.
Because they like playing with each other.
They're looking good. Carolina's in a good spot right now. Team that's not in a good spot right now is the Pelicans.
Oh, I like that transition.
Not bad, eh? So the Lakers offered them. I have it here. Okay. So the deal the Lakers offered was Ball, Kuzma, Ingram, Rondo, Stevenson, Beasley, and 2 first-round picks for Anthony Davis. Just Anthony Davis. Why do you not take that? If you're New Orleans, so you know you're going to lose Anthony Davis
Yeah.
at the end of next year. Are you going to get any more for him than that?
I'm a big believer that patience is a virtue, but I also think they are being greedy.
Yes. They're asking for 6 to 8 first-round picks.
That's a little bit.
6 to 8. There's
I
got
heard 4
8
out of the Lakers.
8 first rounds from now. That kid's not even in high school yet. Like, just keep that in mind. And you're trading that for Anthony Davis,
A year and a half of Anthony Davis, unless you're one of those 4 teams.
which he probably resigns in LA, but you don't know.
Anything happens in the NBA when it comes to
Exactly.
where loyalty lies.
Look at KD. He walked.
And he could walk again, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't understand. That deal is huge. Your team sucks. You need to tear it down. Is LA going to finish top 10 with
I don't think
AD and what do you call it, LeBron?
I don't think they're anywhere close to a position to beating the Golden State Warriors, even if they added.
They're not the
because they're
Warriors.
giving up their whole team.
They're not the Warriors. They're not the Rockets. They're probably not the Raptors. They're probably not Philly.
Long term, it's probably a decent option if they know that they can sign him.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, like a lot of these teams, the Knicks just did it. They traded a bunch of players, thinking, "Hey, this is our shot to sign players in the offseason." So obviously they're investing in themselves to try and win this guy over the next year and a half, and make sure that he's a player that can play with LeBron until he's done.
Yeah, the Lakers just offered you half their roster for one guy. You just turned your entire roster around with one guy who doesn't even want to play for your team.
It's crazy.
And you said no.
And that's what's even crazier.
Yeah. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I get it. They want more, but, like, the Lakers, apparently the Lakers are out now. Like, they're done making offers. But
were apparently out on that, but they don't want to limit themselves. They want to hear back from them.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading the tweet. Like, they want a counteroffer from the Pelicans because they're saying, like, they don't want to bid against themselves.
No.
Because they're the only ones that are sending, legitimate and formal offers to them. And it's like, I can't just keep upping my ante every time without seeing what everybody else is putting in.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're just going to keep saying,
you're going to end up offering four first.
Does this work? Does this work? Does this work? And it doesn't.
The next team that comes in is going to go, like, 2 guys and 2 first-round picks. And it's going to that Lakers offer is going to start dissipating.
And that's what I mean. It'll fluctuate what they'll be able to.
If I'm every other team in the NBA, I'm not offering that. Why would you?
Hell no.
Why would you?
You're giving up the entire future of this organization.
You just gave away the farm because you know what? We signed LeBron and we need to win now. And it's like I don't get it, man. That's like the Raptors giving up like OG, Siakam, Lowry, Valanciunas, DeLon, Fred VanVleet, and 2 firsts.
That's a lot.
That's the whole team.
That's a lot.
That's the whole team. You left 3 starters.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, no, the Lakers haven't been good with that lineup, but those 2 first-round picks are probably going to be okay. It's the NBA. The entire first round is good.
Yeah.
You get weird guys coming in late
100%.
and taking over, right? Like, those 2 first-round picks are going to be huge. Kuzma, Ingram, and Ball all have a chance to be serviceable players in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Even if a couple of them come off your bench, they're going to be good. Rondo's going to come in with experience. He's going to help your lineup mature.
There. You want to suck if you're.
He's going to help you suck for the next couple of years. You're still going to have your own first-round picks.
Team.
You have your own picks to draft guys with. So you now have 4 picks in the next 2 first rounds.
And I think they insisted that they weren't selling Drew Holiday, but I feel like if Anthony Davis goes,
fucking give him up.
Then Holiday's out the door.
Give him up. Get some more first.
Yeah.
Like you can turn your franchise around with one guy because he doesn't want to be here, and you're not winning with him.
That's the truth because you had your shot when you had him and Boogie, and it didn't work.
Now your team's
it wasn't
worse.
Even close because of the Warriors.
No,
but,
your team's worse, and you're not getting any better.
And it's just a matter of coming to terms with it and just saying let's move on. But they're being a bit greedy.
You got to accept that your fate is bad, and you can.
But that's the thing; they don't have to rush this decision, which is why I
that's
feel
true.
Like
they do have another year,
for
but
this absurd amount of assets back. I mean, just wait until the offer's right now because
you're shooting fish in a barrel. You might shoot yourself in the foot with this one because you're like, if you offer too much from the Lakers, then you go fuck it and go get Kyrie.
But in the offseason, you could always say, hey, Boston, give them a call.
Sure.
Because then when or if Kyrie's on the move and then they can finally bring him in, if I'm the Pelicans, I'm looking at a guy like Jason Tatum, a guy like...
Sure. But does Davis's value not go down if he is now here for 1 year instead of a year and a half? It's 1 playoff run instead of 2? I don't offer that next year.
In a sense, yeah, that's a fair point.
I don't give up that much next year because I only have him for 1 year and that's it. I don't have him for this playoff run that I'm hoping to go on.
I think it's different only for teams that weren't part of the list.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're on that list of teams, I think it was the Knicks, Lakers, Clippers, and Bucks.
Okay.
That basically he said, yeah, I'll sign with you.
Yeah.
I have an interest at signing with you, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Without
It's
tampering.
it's easy to say, yeah, I don't mind giving up the extra assets that I would have got from making that deal prior to the trade deadline, like now, as compared to in the offseason, just because you have a legit shot at signing him.
Yeah.
But if you're the Celtics, where he said, or his dad said, I don't want my son playing with that organization after seeing what they did to Isaiah Thomas, that's kind of huge, and that's basically a big turnoff if I'm the GM saying,
why would I
for one shot at the title with him.
You're going to get him one season and that's it.
Which is why it would make sense, if you're a team like Boston, that you'd have to do it now, but they can't because of this rule. And
yeah, it sucks.
If you're LA, maybe you could just wait, see if the price goes down. Like, they're in no rush. They're probably not winning this season anyway.
The price, I can guarantee you the price goes down if this season ends.
Yeah.
I don't have a doubt in my mind that's a thing. I don't know, man. Like, it just seems dumb to let this opportunity walk in order to, like, unless you plan on trading him this deadline, I don't know why you would let this go. Because the odds of you getting that for a rental is not very high.
It's true. That's true. I mean, it's just so tough, I think, because of the fact that he's only willing to sign with a select amount of teams, because it limits where he's going to want to go. And that's a big turnoff to potential suitors like the Raptors, I think, the Celtics.
This is something you don't do if you're the Raptors, if you get to next year. Because what is that? Like, yeah, we have Anthony Davis for this year re-sign with us. That's not enticing. He's not going to come back. So what do you have? You just gauge the farm for...
I feel like if you're the Raptors, taking a shot at it right now
makes sense.
It's only because this is your best shot at making it out of the East, and then once you're in the final, who knows?
Yeah,
you beat
happen.
I understand it was the cousins-less Warriors, but you've beaten them twice. Once
anything can happen, man. Like, you never know. I don't see Warriors losing, but anything could happen. They could lose a couple guys, and they could be trash.
We've been saying this all the time. Like, it only takes one leg to break. I
think it'll take a couple with them.
For them, it'll probably take a couple. But I mean, if you're there,
it could happen. Like, that's the thing. Like, you never know. Say KD and Steph collide, both hit knees and both go down. It could happen. It's very unlikely, but it could happen.
But that's the thing.
And I mean,
you weigh it out again. You go player for player. It's not even a contest.
No.
Like 3 out of 5.
No.
Easily in their favor, and then the other 2 might be a split if you're lucky.
Yeah, so now you're just going to, especially if you get after this year, you're going to wager the farm on getting Anthony Davis to hopefully re-sign Kawhi, and if Kawhi walks, now you have nothing.
And then you basically got to say, hey, who wants Anthony Davis? And try and salvage whatever you can of your future.
Please, I need him.
Yeah. It's a tough spot. It's a tough decision for Masai.
I think the Pelicans are shooting themselves in the foot. I don't think this offer gets any better for them. Write it down. I'm probably going to be wrong in a couple weeks, but I don't think the offer gets any better than this.
The deadline is this Thursday, is it not?
Is it? I don't know.
It's this Thursday. NBA trade deadline.
Whether it's this week or next week, you're going to tell me in a week that a team's going to come up with a better offer than
February 7 at 3 p.m. So, yeah, it's this Thursday.
What contender is going to put up a better offer than this?
I'd be interested in what the Bucks could offer, especially knowing that they're a team that he would potentially sign.
But who?
That's the thing. I know they've got Thon Maker that is on the potential trade block on their end, because he just said, like, I want to play more. You'd basically have to be moving on from a guy like Chris Middleton. They'd probably be asking for a youngster like Malcolm Brogdon.
And apparently 6 to 8 first-round picks.
And a ton of picks.
Picks that aren't even playing basketball yet.
Yeah. And again, this is just for a shot at getting out of the East and meeting Golden State. You're basically selling every future asset you have just for an invitation to meet up with the Golden State Warriors. That's how everything in terms of the East, to me, is just, you can do whatever you want. It's just your cordial invitation to meet with the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. It's like, thanks for coming. I mean, the Rockets almost pulled it off last year, but...
Is there a chance that the Rockets pull it off?
James Harden can carry it, but
If he's scoring 60 points a night,
sure, yeah, of course.
maybe.
Yep.
But
LeBron did it the year they beat him. But that last, like, if you trade your next 8 first-round picks, that 8th kid is in grade 4 right now if you draft him out of high school. Just keep that in mind as you're trying to get that for one guy that is going to be, in 8 years, how old is Anthony Davis going to be?
Mid-30s.
So he'll be almost done his career by the time you draft that 8th pick.
And I'm sure he'll ask for another trade by that point, too.
He won't be on the team that just got him.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Sticking with trade talks, the Raptors are involved in some stupid stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the Jake Fisher, I think he's of Sports Illustrated, tweeted out, he goes, while Memphis has most seriously continued dialogue with Utah and Detroit on Mike Conley trade packages, the Raptors called Memphis, offering Kyle Lowry and Jonas Valanciunas for the two of them straight up. Apparently Lowry's aware of Toronto's general trade discussions. What the fuck?
I'm a big fan of trading Lowry at this point, just because I don't like his attitude. And it's been well spoken about with a lot of people that I talk to about this team. And moving on from Lowry is, I think...
But is that the deal?
If I'm the Memphis Grizzlies, I wouldn't do it.
No. If I'm the Raptors, I don't do this.
Well, I do it 100%.
Why?
If you're getting Gasol and Mike Conley,
okay,
sign me up.
So you're getting one more year of Mike Conley after this.
Yeah, but I'd prefer Mike Conley.
And you're now paying Marc Gasol $7 million more than you're going to be paying Valanciunas.
But it's just this 1 year, is it not?
Still $7 million more. And okay, so you're going to lose him at the end of the year?
I'd gladly do it for the. You're already going all in this season. You signed. You traded for Kawhi.
Do they turn the needle that much? They're good. Do they make you the Warriors?
They don't.
No.
I don't think they turn the needle, but I feel like just in terms of that whole culture reset thing, that moving on from Lowry is a big step you need to take.
Is Lowry that bad in the dressing room?
I think so.
I don't think he is, but with the guys in the room, he gets along with.
I think it's just how
it's the media perception of him with Masai and his attitude and all that. But I think that dressing room, he's
exaggerated. But I think it's still something that if you moved on from it, you're far better off.
You're going to be better if you're Masai, sure.
Yeah.
But how many guys in that locker room respect Kyle Lowry?
I'd like to think
they've all been together for how long now, right?
Well, a lot of the guys that got brought up through the system, the Siakams, the Anunobis, the Van Vliets, they've all been taken under his and, DeMar's wing for these past however many playoff runs it's been.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, but I'm sure that they've been exposed to their fair share of encounters that have gone on.
I think that the fact that this came out does not help your Kawhi situation. Because look at their two biggest superstars last year, in DeMar and Kyle.
Yeah.
And both of them put all the trust in the Raptors that they had, and they're like, we love it here, we're going to stay here the rest of our careers. And what did they do? They gave away DeMar for nothing, just stabbed him in the back and said, here you go, and now they're trying to get rid of Kyle. Why would you want to be here if you're Kawhi? Especially if you're doing that. Like, I don't know what you're trying to build. You don't have the core to build a great team right now if you lose Kawhi at the end of the year.
I mean, they've got good young players that they could still build around. I still think that Siakam's a good enough player that you could have him start every day.
Sure.
And Anunoby's a guy that you can have start every day.
But he's not a star. He's not an upper echelon player in this league.
100%. But
you're not going to compete with any of the teams coming up.
But that's the thing. They knew this going in, that once Kawhi was up, and that whether you win or not, you're going to have to start with these young players, giving them full-time minutes and basically establishing a full rebuild.
I just think if you're going to try and bring someone big enough in, it better be enough to turn the needle to give you a championship opportunity. And especially if it's going to be Kyle going out. And I don't think this is it.
It's tough because at what point are you going to say that a trade is good enough to turn the needle? the Warriors are that good. Like you need, and
Oh, I know
we've
for
been
sure.
saying like even
Yeah.
Anthony Davis isn't enough. You
No,
basically
that's
need
true.
a
Yeah.
full team of all-stars.
You're gonna need to bring in a couple guys, and I think
And at that point, you're mortgaging your entire future for one shot at meeting them. Right? And moving on from Valanciunas, who
that's true.
hasn't really fit in well in the past playoff runs, doesn't get as many minutes as one would have liked.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it's worth a shot. You know, Michael Conley and Pau Gasol in a playoff run, it could be worth the while. You still get Conley going forward. You lose Gasol after the year, but I mean, you still have Serge under contract. He was part of that three. I mean, he's been playing well enough here that I could justify paying him, but
it's because they're splitting time and it's a little easier.
Yeah. It's a tough spot. I mean, because whatever you do, it's going to be, you know, is it enough? Is it enough to be Golden State? And if you leave it alone, it's like, okay, well, you left it, and now we're stuck with Kawhi alone. And is he going to come back or not? And if he doesn't, that ain't going to sit well either with fans.
No.
So regardless of what you do, it's a catch-22.
It's going to be really hard to win if you're Masai Ujiri right now. Like, no matter, you got to do something like everything. His whole success rate right now relies on Kawhi re-signing.
And that was the plan, you know. You brought him in.
That's a big gamble.
Trying to sell him on the city. It's a tough spot.
It's a big gamble, man. To make
and that's the thing. It's a big gamble.
We're
regardless
relying
of what you do, whether you leave it or whether you don't, it's a gamble.
And it's not in your hands.
It's completely out of your hands. You can only. What can you do at this point if you're Masai? You can maybe make another move for a role player, or you pull out the blockbuster deal and mortgage everything for Anthony Davis. I mean, it's a lose-lose situation at this point, unless you hit big and you win the championship this year.
Yeah. I don't know. Good Raptors news though is what's his name? Danny Green is going to be in the NBA three-point shooting contest, which is it's been Kyle Lowry the last couple of years, right? He's
been Lowry and he hasn't done well.
No, he's been bad.
So I mean, hopefully this translates into some
sort of
Raptors success at the All-Star game.
It'll be interesting to see if he does something. There was something big that came across here. Adrian Beltre officially retired. Sticking with. We can go to baseball for a minute. That kind of.
Yeah, if you want to go baseball, let you have it.
I love watching Beltre play. I'm surprised he's already old enough to retire. Like, I just feel like he hasn't really been around that long, but it's tough.
Thou shalt not touch his head.
Watching him and Elvis Andrus on the diamond together was some of the most fun things you'll ever see in baseball. Just because, like, there's videos of the two of them just messing with each other anytime a pop fly goes up, and it's absolutely hilarious. He's a character that you don't see in a lot of sports.
Yeah.
He had fun playing the game, and he was a hell of a player. He made it to 3,000 this year, right? He had 3,000 hits, I think it was.
I'd like to think so.
Or it was either 3,000 or it was a homer number, one of the two. But, like, he's one of the best third basemen to do it in recent history.
Hall of Famer?
Oh, I'd say so, yeah. If first ballot, I don't know. Probably not. First couple ballots, probably not. Does he get in eventually? I think it's without a doubt. You can't.
It's 3,166 on his career.
Which
he's in that club.
Yeah, which isn't as big of a deal as it used to be, but it's still big enough. Like everything else he did, like he played Gold Glove defense.
Yeah,
he hit well. He hit for power. He was a well-liked guy around the league. He was big in their clubhouse. He helped them get to many playoff appearances.
Yeah,
never won a World Series, did he? Did he win it?
World Series. I don't think he did, no.
No, that's a tough one.
Because Texas made it there all those times and they never won.
Never won it with Boston, I don't think.
Boston, he was only there for the 1 year in 2010. Didn't win it.
He was with LA at one point, wasn't he? No.
Dodgers, Mariners.
Yeah. So
1 season on the...
So he played for all the teams that never win. It's
It's a shame,
yeah.
especially with his illustrious career. I mean, 477 home runs, 1,707
One more year
RBIs.
and he probably cracks 500, which is incredible.
He
20
hit 17 and 15 in the last 2 years.
Wasn't he hurt? He was hurt one of the years. I know that.
He played 119 games.
Yeah.
2017, he played 94. So I mean,
so
a
he's
little
been
bit of
hurt.
injury.
If he stays healthy for a whole season, he cracks 500, and that sucks. One of the best to suit up in our lifetime, though. I'd say.
Think so, yeah.
Or that we actually got to watch for the entire our entire lifetime, anyways. Yeah. You got anything else?
I think I'm good. I think that wraps it.
Yeah, well.
Unless you got anything.
No, I think I'm good. Well, Leaf fans, enjoy watching Austin Matthews for the next 5 years. And thanks for listening. Check out the A Sports on all our socials. Check us both out on any of our social medias. Chirp Amir for not showing up.
It's been a blast penalty killing, but it's been a ride.
Hopefully we did a good job. We weren't the Edmonton Oilers penalty kill, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Peace.